Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Publishing Notebook, where I share the lessons I wish someone had taught me before I published my first book. I'm Sean George, author of more than 70 children's books and founder of Our Children Read. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest decisions an aspiring author has to make. Should you self-publish or try to get traditionally published? And before I tell you which one I chose, let me say something important. Neither one is automatically better. They're two different paths, and the right path depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Let's start with traditional publishing. With a traditional publisher, you generally aren't paying the publisher to produce your book. The publisher takes on the financial risk and typically handles things like editing, design, production, printing, and distribution. An established publisher may also have relationships with bookstores, wholesalers, libraries, and other parts of the book industry. That's a major advantage. But you're also giving up some control. Depending on your contract, the publisher may have significant influence over your cover, title, design, pricing, publication schedule, and other decisions surrounding your book. And getting traditionally published can take time. You may need a literary agent. You may receive rejection letters. And even after someone says yes, it can still take quite some time before your book reaches readers. Now, let's talk about something that attracts a lot of authors to traditional publishing, the advance. A traditional publisher may offer you money upfront as an advance against future royalties. Let's say, just as an example, you're offered a $10,000 advance. You receive that money according to the payment schedule in your contract. But here's the part new authors need to understand. Once your book begins selling, you generally don't start receiving additional royalty checks right away. Your earned royalties are first credited against that advance. In publishing language, your book has to earn out the advance before you generally receive additional royalty payments. I sometimes describe that as your royalties paying back the advance, but I want to be very clear about something. You're generally not personally paying that money back to the publisher. If your book doesn't earn out, under a standard agreement, you generally don't have to write the publisher a check for the difference, as long as you fulfilled your contractual obligations. The publisher assumed that financial risk. Now, let's look at self-publishing. When you self-publish, you are the publisher. You choose the editor, you choose the illustrator, you choose your cover, you determine your schedule. You make your pricing and distribution decisions within the requirements of the platforms and distributors you use, and you have much greater control over the publishing business you're building. You can also potentially bring your book to market much faster. But here's the other side. You pay the bills. Editing, illustration, formatting, ISBNs, printing, marketing, and everything else necessary to professionally produce and sell your book. That's why I don't think of self-publishing as simply, I put my book on Amazon. No, when you self-publish, you are starting a publishing business. And now, I want to address one of the biggest misconceptions about these two paths. Marketing. Some aspiring authors think, if I get a traditional publishing deal, I won't have to market my book. Don't assume that. Yes, a traditional publisher may provide marketing and publicity support. They may pursue media opportunities, advertising, bookstore promotions, events, and other ways of getting attention for your book. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're off the hook. Even traditionally published authors may need to build their audience, use social media, do interviews, attend events, promote pre-orders, connect with readers, and help people discover their books. Now, if you're already a major celebrity, best-selling author, or someone with a huge audience, the amount of marketing resources a publisher puts behind your book may be very different. But if you're a new author, don't assume somebody else is going to build your audience for you. And with self-publishing, that responsibility falls even more heavily on you. So whichever path you choose, I want you to remember this. Publishing a book and selling a book are two different jobs. You can write a great book, you can publish a beautiful book, but somebody still has to convince readers that the book is worth buying. So which path should you choose? If you want the infrastructure of an established publishing company, you're willing to go through the submission and selection process, and you're comfortable giving up some control in exchange for that infrastructure. Traditional publishing may be right for you, but if you want greater creative control, you want to move at your own pace, you're willing to invest your own money, and you're willing to learn the business of publishing, Self-publishing may be right for you. I chose self-publishing. And knowing what I know today, I'd choose it again. Not because self-publishing is better for everybody, but because it fits what I wanted to build. So here's today's lesson. Don't choose self-publishing because somebody told you traditional publishing is bad. And don't chase traditional publishing because somebody told you that's what makes you a real author. Understand the advantages, understand the disadvantages, understand the business, and then choose the path that fits your goals. I'm Sean George, and I'll see you next Thursday for another lesson from the Publishing Notebook. And remember, don't just publish a book, build a publishing company.